How's it, guys? Today we're talking about hip pain, and more specifically the difference between hip pain or hip tightness. So I want to be able to give you an analogy to help you conceptualize the hip tightness. If you've got a ball and socket joint and it's sitting cradled in its joint space, if there was tightness around that ball and socket, you would feel compressional forces in the joint and potentially have more wear and tear and surfaces abutting one another if that compression and that tightness was long term. So over time, that can lead to degenerative changes, some tears in the capsule, and problems with ligament laxity or with muscle strain and therefore pain. So pain is super complicated. Pain is useful because it's your brain's way of warning you that something's not quite right. And it gets confusing when that pain is long term, because trying to find the source and the origin of the discomfort might be tricky because you're used to having it for so long. So the brain just starts signaling, we have a problem, we have a problem. So if we could just take a pause and try and rather focus on defining the tightness. And so I'd like to use an analogy of wearing suspenders. So if you had really, really tight suspenders on and your pants were being held up by your suspenders, and the suspenders were so tight they're digging into your shoulders and they're pulling up your pants, and your groin is feeling uncomfortable because you're being jacked up by these suspenders, you're not really going to think of much else other than the fact that you're super uncomfortable. And so if that is happening in your hips, you won't move very well inside your hips, and you could have some nasty wear and tear happening. So then my advice to you is, if you're suffering with some joint pain in the hips, let's look at what muscles, one or maybe more, that could be trying to protect you, and in doing so pulling taut and creating more problems. If we can stretch gently, I'm not saying that's the only way to heal your problem, but if we can stretch gently, you might unlock a whole new range of movement that could help you. But because I'm in the game of exercise and biokinetics and Pilates, you can't just stretch without the strengthen. So that's my caveat to this little chat, is that if you're going to loosen something, then you've got to replace it with stability. So we're not just looking for mobility, we're also looking for stability.